I told you there wouldn't be a dirty fan. Hi guys, welcome to episode 3, I guess. Quite a bit has happened since the last recording, as you can see. All new surroundings. What? Did Jason get a studio? No, not the case at all. I've been exiled from my house. Just kidding. So I've moved my whole home office and everything and my daily essentials to my personal trainer Ozzy's house in Salt Rock, and for a month or almost month-long boot camp to try and get my A into G regarding my physique and build and training, etc. It's been just less than a full week now, and I don't feel any major changes or see any major changes yet, but I'm trying really hard to focus on the whole incremental improvements thing. So shameless plug from my previous video. Oz and I are training pretty hard. I'm sore, I'm stiff, but it feels amazing to be training with him again. It feels like this whole COVID thing is sort of drawing to a close now in some sense, which is great. But if you're ever, I would like to just do another completely shameless plug here. If you're ever in need of a knowledgeable, dedicated personal trainer, Bradley Osborne is your guy. Just don't expect him to WhatsApp you back immediately if you send him a message. He's the next day kind of guy. But jokes aside, his family, Oz and his family have been super hospitable for this week so far, and I'm sure that my month at Casa del Osborne is going to yield some cool results. So watch this space. That's the first thing. Second thing, I've had to get used to new jogging routes, obviously being in a new area. Not my favorite thing to do, guys. I'm pretty set on my current jogging route. This Salt Rock is definitely hillier than the Bluff. The hills are not as long, but there's a lot more of them, and they're short and steep, and it's shit. But I'm getting used to it, yeah. I guess that's 2. 3, Danielle and I have had to make some tough decisions regarding our relationship. My thoughts and feelings on the subject will be discussed in a future video, and I'll be watching the comments section on that one for the old timers' useful tips and tricks for negotiating marital pitfalls and hurdles. Next, the company that I work for has announced their plans to start phasing staff return to the office, and I'm a little at loggerheads about whether or not I want to go back just yet. It's like petrol saving, no commute, daily traffic, but not being in an area where I can just go and train with Ozzy during lunch break, not seeing my colleagues. I'm a social guy, and I really miss the social interactions. And Microsoft Teams and Zoom calls are just not the same. They're not a substitute for a face-to-face or a cup of coffee at the staff lunch area or a casual catch-up in the hallway between meetings, which leads me to the last thing. I've had to become accustomed to video chats being the only means of comms between my boys and I, my sons, which has probably been the hardest adjustment to make so far. And that's what I'm going to touch on in this video. Not the adjustment, but dads and their relationship with their kids. I'm going to be calling on my experiences as a dad and as a son, as well as a grandson, witnessing my father's relationship with his dad. Sorry, excuse me. While I definitely don't assume that my experiences are going to match up to everyone else's, or anyone else's for that matter, but I imagine that there might very well be parallels to be drawn in your lives from something that I've gone through, and I hope that something that I touch on will bear some meaning to someone. That would be cool, like a first prize for me. I really feel like being a dad is part of my calling, or I feel like my calling is being a dad. Maybe it's because I haven't figured out any other actual calling, and as a 40-year-old, that's somewhat difficult to say. It's a little scary. Or maybe it is. Maybe that is my calling, and I'm happy either way. Like, if it's not my calling, I still think I'm doing a bloody good job of it. I've wanted to be a dad from as early as I can recall. In my teen years, I distinctly remember thinking about the prospect of being a dad and how cool that would be. Obviously, having grown up in a Christian household, post, marriage and all that sort of stuff. I didn't want to be a dad before that. I was scared of upsetting my dad and my mom and any other repercussions, but whatever. I think that my desire to be a dad came in part from my relationship with my dad and my perceived shortcomings of him as a father to me. Like any father-son relationship, we definitely have and had our ups and downs. And now that I've seen what it takes to be a dad, and I've lived through this, that I'm living through this, I can gladly say that I judge him a lot less now for the times where I felt there were shortcomings, and I realize now that it was just him being human. I've also had to realize that I think paternal focus, paternal responsibility was somewhat less of a priority, like hands-on paternal, for his generation than it is for mine, and me specifically. I don't want to assume for all fathers my age. I don't know that we all see it the same way, but that's definitely how I see it. But I can assure you that, and anyone that knows me will vouch for this, the fact is that my boys are first and foremost, not first and foremost, but they're definitely present, very present in any and most of my decision-making processes. Whether or not that's healthy, I don't know, and I don't know. You can chalk that up to something that I'm still trying to figure out. Having watched my previous 2 videos a number of times, not to get views, just because I'm the most critical person I know, I need to say that just a slight detraction from this chain of thought. I'm well aware that what I speak about is pretty much general knowledge to most people, but I'm doing this for 2 reasons. One is I really do hope that something that I share, something that I've gone through or that I've realized or that I've have a lessons learned from, can help someone that may be struggling with something similar. I know that I repeat that, but that is honestly my hope for these videos. Someone that's struggling with something similar, that can't find a way or doesn't know, or like can't find a solution for a way through the specific struggle. Secondly is I've realized post this whole process that talking about these things the way like I am to a camera and to you guys, feeling like I'm trying to make a difference or feeling like I'm trying to help, highlighting my experiences and how I've dealt with things in my life, is talking about it at least, is very cathartic. I've realized it's quite cathartic. And I find that subsequent introspection and the manner in which I look at things is changing as a result of doing these talks, which I'm notching up to personal growth, which I'm really appreciative of. So if you guys are there to support me and listen to the story, then I'm even all the more grateful, because this is, as much as I feel that this can help someone, it is definitely helping me. So thank you. And you know what, even if you don't listen to it, it's still, I'm posting it and I'm going through this process. This is my journey, like, whatever. I'm just kidding. I'm doing it for you guys. So being a dad's not easy. It's not as simple as being Danny Tanner from Full House, if you remember that show, or any of the other sort of major media influences we had growing up. It's not as easy as just trying to be like your father or trying to emulate your father if you think that he did a good job. Conversely, it's not as simple as just being the complete antithesis of your father if you thought he did a shitty job. But let me assure you that whatever you feel in that regard, whatever you feel about how your father was while you were growing up, whatever you feel his motivations were for his actions, know that there was probably a lot more to it than what you were aware of or that you were let in on. looking back now and thinking of the things my dad said and did that upset me back then as a kid, because I didn't get my way or because I didn't get what I wanted, I now know that there was likely a totally rational, justified reason for why he did what he did and said what he said, right? Whether it was because he knew better or he wanted better for me, or because there was, money was tight and not everything a child wants is a financial priority to a parent, right? Was that something that I battle with as a dad when it comes to my kids and their online gaming habit? Yeah, Fortnite, right? And as I think that's given me a better perspective on understanding my dad's parenting style, in part. I think we tend to use our experiences of our childhood, good or bad, to direct our course as parents or as dads. But it's still not just as simple as that. You can't just sort of take inference from your experience and then apply it. It's not the same. It's complicated by the fact that times are different now. Life is definitely not as simple now as it was when we were growing up, or at least when I was growing up. I think each generation is going to have its own shit to deal with, and each generation of son is going to have to figure out how to, a sort of a time-appropriate manner of fathering their own kids. As much as I want my boys to have similar interests to me and find the same things amusing or amazing or funny, to think the way that I do or to see the world the way that I'd like them to see it, I think part of it is also me realizing that they are their own people and that they'll grow up and be men someday and have their own dragons to slay, their own bridges to build, etc., etc. I think all that we as dads now really can do is to just teach them as much as we can, be as good a dad as we are humanly capable of, be there to sort of support them at every possible opportunity, back them up where you can, have their back, and understand that you need to lead by example. And it's not just a matter of teaching, it's not just a matter of saying what's right and wrong, but actually living that life. I feel like my boys and I have got a pretty good relationship. For the most part, I'm pretty sure that they'll agree. They know that they can bring sort of personal stuff to me to talk about, and they actually do. A recent discussion with my youngest will definitely be the topic of one of the upcoming videos once I've hashed it out with him and he's okay with it. But I'm super grateful for that. Like, I think partly because I didn't ever have the guts to talk to my dad about sort of personal things, and I acknowledge their bravery in doing it, but I'd also like to think that I have a hand in that. Like, I'd want to believe that I helped create that environment in which they feel safe to share that kind of stuff with me. So I guess it's kudos to both of us, or at least that's what I hope. Like, I hope it's kudos to both of us and not just them for being brave about it, right? The last thing that I want to talk about is my relationship with my father, and how that affects my boys or the kids. So most of you that know me will know that I live with we live with my dad and my stepmom. After they took ill, Daniel and I sold our place up and we moved back into the granny flats on their premises just to sort of help around with the house wherever we could. My relationship with my dad is at best strained, and that I think is putting it nicely. But I do want to make it 100% clear, this is no fault of his. You thought I was going to say mine, right? Yeah. Got you. For the longest time, though, that wasn't necessarily my outlook on the situation. In my eyes, my impatience, any anger, any sarcasm or abruptness, anything that I displayed to him negatively like that was as a direct result of his behavior. Needless to say that my thinking on that matter is completely flawed. And this is something that I've realized just recently. Firstly, no one can make you feel anything, right? You decide exactly how you're going to react or respond to any given situation. 9 out of 10 times, I chose to react or respond like a little shit. And in hindsight, I totally regret it. If I could take sort of if I had a time machine, I'd absolutely erase half the shit I did, because it's not nice. So I'm really sorry about the way that I've handled a lot of the situations with my dad, and I'm sorry because the way that I've reacted, or the way that I reacted, is totally uncalled for lack of a better word, but it's totally uncalled for, but mostly because it's really not setting a good example for the boys. Because now I realize how much I would hate it if they were that way to me in the future. I think it would suck. It would suck badly. So, Jay's top tip: be the best dad you can be, but be a good son too. The best you know how to be, right? I feel if your intention, if your motivation is genuine and pure, then I really do believe that will shine through, that people will see that. And because your intention is right, any shortcomings, any flaws that you're going to discover that more easily. Like it will come a lot easier. But at the end of it all, you need to remember, despite the shortcomings, despite the flaws, despite not being able to make every cricket game, despite not being able to buy them everything you want to buy them because it's what you didn't have when you were a kid, despite not being able to provide a massive house, individual rooms, TVs and game consoles for each and whatever else, despite all of that at the end of the day, you're still their dad, and they still love you, even if they never say it. So yeah, I'm going to close off with reading. I don't know if you guys have ever sort of noticed the tattoos on my arms. If any of you actually give a shit, I'm going to close off by reading what it has to say, because it's apt. I had these done shortly after Jordan was born. I think it was about a month after he was born, and I think, seeing as though we're this many sleepies away from his 11th birthday, I thought it would be a nice touch just to add this in. So it's a quote from an author named Kent Nerburn, and I did a lot of searching, and I felt that this encompasses very much how I feel about my boys, or at least how I see my role as a father. Until you have sons of your own, you will never know the joy, the love beyond feeling that resonates in the heart of a father as he looks upon his sons. You will never know the sense of honor that makes a man want to be more than he is, and to pass something good and hopeful into the hands of his sons. And you will never know the heartbreak of the fathers who are haunted by personal demons that keep them from being the men they want their sons to be. I think it's pretty profound. I like it. If you don't like it, shit. So thanks for sticking around and listening to my thoughts. If you enjoyed the video, if you took anything from it, please be sure to throw a thumbs up there. Not actually a thumbs up, like actually click on the like button. It does count for something apparently. Hit the subscribe button and be sure to hit the bell notification thingy, this thing, to get notifications for when I talk about what Jordan told me the other day, if you're interested. That's it, guys. Thanks. Remember, aim high, work hard, be happy. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.